Layla, go sit down. Hello Tribe and welcome back. It's your girl Michelle Jones here with another episode of Tribe of Many Nations. And yes, I'm like wearing makeup and I did like crazy shit with my hair today because I just felt like it and I got really bored. Although I haven't actually been bored today. I've been investigating a case all day, part of yesterday, for today's video. So I'm hoping you guys really enjoy it. I thought it might be interesting if we take a little bit of a break from the paranormal and kind of look into the evil and scary side of humanity. Why not, right? Why not? I'm most likely going to be going back to school soon to start my master's degree, and I'm leaning towards forensic psychology because that is what I've always dreamed of doing. That is why I originally started with my bachelor's in psychology, so it would be really cool to go back and actually see that goal through. And because I'm so fascinated by forensic psychology and criminology and all that good stuff, I thought it might be cool if we did some true crime episodes. And now, I don't want you guys to like roll your eyes and be like, oh, here we go again with yet another true crime YouTuber, because there are a ton of true crime YouTubers out there. But there are also a ton of paranormal YouTubers out there. So I thought we might create kind of a happy medium with this channel and kind of combine the two. So I am definitely going to be starting some investigating of real crimes that have happened that have hints of the paranormal or that have something to do with the occult. There are plenty of them out there. There's a lot of topics to cover, but today I thought we would start out with something closer to my home, which is Texas. So instead of digging back to like all the most horrible crimes people have ever heard of coming out of Texas, I thought we would hit on one that is still very horrible, but somewhat fresh in our minds over here in Texas. So the story you are about to hear first aired on May 19th of 2018. So like literally last year is when the story officially went international or nationwide, I believe. I mean, it's been circulating in Texas since it started, so it's not new to me, but it is somewhat new to people who live in other states and other countries and things like that. And it is a cold case. So the case we're going to be talking about today is the Jennifer Harris case in Bonham, Texas. So I've actually taken the time to write out and investigate. I won't even say investigate. That's not entirely truthful if we're being honest. But I think a lot of true crime YouTubers call themselves investigators, but really they're just like reading a bunch of different articles. So I do want to give props to the actual investigators out there, the detectives, the private investigators, the Texas Rangers, the people who have actually put man hours and time into this investigation for Jennifer Harris in Bonham, Texas. Because those are the real people who have gone through and investigated and talked to the family and talked to the people and talked to the suspects. So I won't call myself an investigator. It's more of like a knowledge fact accumulator, if that's even a thing. But anyway, I've taken the time to literally type it all out. It's kind of long, so if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I'm looking at my laptop because I want to make sure I get everything correctly instead of trying to like memorize it all, because you guys know I have a shit memory. It is so bad. I sat here and tried to memorize everything and it just was not working for me. So instead, I'm just going to read it out loud, so I hope you guys don't mind, and I'm going to try to get better with remembering things for future videos so that I can actually look at you when I'm talking. Yeah? Cool. Let's get started. So yes, the Jennifer Harris case in Bonham, Texas. It was a rainy, overcast evening, according to weather reports, on May 12th of 2002. And when I first saw that, I knew I had to write about this case. I knew I had to talk about this case because it happened on my birthday and on a Mother's Day. And I was actually born on Mother's Day, but you know, way back in 1991. Now, obviously, rainy, overcast weather is not the best weather to be celebrating Mother's Day in, but in the small town of Bonham, Texas, that is exactly what the local residents were probably doing. However, Jennifer Harris had lost her mother about a year earlier and was instead hanging out at her friend Christy Farr's house until about 8 p.m. that evening before deciding to head out. Now, according to FAR, Jennifer made no mention of where she was going, but I mean, at 8 p.m., you can most likely assume that someone's going home, or possibly going out to eat or something. I don't know. So she most likely assumed that Jennifer Harris, who was 28 at the time, which is eerie because I'm 28 now, and she probably had assumed that Jennifer was going home after a long day. But that was the night that Jennifer Harris went missing. That same evening, a local woman in Bonham, Texas was out walking in the overcast weather, as she apparently did, no matter if it was rain or sunshine or whatever, and she spotted what turned out to be Jennifer's green Jeep parked along the side of the road near a local music spot that is in Bonham, Texas. And of course, like the woman's name is Rhonda Fitzwater, and she didn't really think anything of it at the time because like a lot of us see cars that are just parked along the street or abandoned or left there. Maybe the car died and they had to walk, or maybe they had a lift and they're going to tow it later. You don't really think too much into it, to be honest, if you just see a car abandoned. But the very next day, the Jeep was in the exact same spot. So that's when Rhonda Fitzwater was starting to wonder, like, okay, guess no one's coming back for this Jeep. But according to Rhonda, like, the Jeep is the only thing that she ever saw. She didn't see Jennifer. She didn't see anyone with Jennifer. She didn't know whose Jeep it was at the time. She just knew that there was this Jeep. But for some reason, a lot of investigators think that she saw more or that she knows more. But she is sticking to, I only saw the Jeep the whole time. So 6 days after May 12th, a local fisherman spotted something in the Red River that he will never forget. The naked body of Jennifer Harris was found floating in the river, and the police were obviously immediately called in. According to the medical examiner's reports, her body had been so badly decomposed that it was impossible to find the specific cause of death, but later on, it would be reported as a violent homicide. Now, as with most murder cases, the friends and family are brought in to be questioned, and they only had good things to say about Jennifer. Of course, her sister Alyssa stated that she was an idealist, a dreamer, a lovable person with an open mind, and her father, of course, also mentioned that she was super lovable and a brilliant child and, had excelled in high school and things like that. But it was the two romantic partners in her life that were obviously given the most attention during the investigation. Rob Holman was the ex-husband of Jennifer, and the history surrounding their separation or divorce, I'm not entirely sure if they were legally divorced. I assume they were, but I don't know. But the history surrounding their separation or divorce was not exactly peaceful. According to friends and family members, the two had been married shortly after high school and moved to Dallas suburbia, where Jennifer started to kind of explore herself. She started to get more of an open mind towards life. She got into school for massage therapy and things like that. But Rob was apparently struggling with the big city pace, and he was kind of missing Bonham, Texas, missing a slower rural lifestyle. There were reports of possible domestic violence between the two. After they moved, the family reported seeing random holes in the walls of their home, as if someone had punched through the wall. Maybe to relieve some anger, maybe to avoid hitting each other, they punch the wall. I mean, I've been in relationships where that's happened, where someone loses their temper and they literally put their hand through the wall. I never have, because I have a zero pain tolerance and can't do shit like that. But I have been in relationships where that's happened. And that doesn't necessarily mean that things went on beyond that. But it is where the red flags started coming up. And it did get worse. So while Jennifer was going through massage therapy school, she met a man by the name of James Hamilton, who was also at the massage therapy school. And they had a lot of the same ideals, a lot of the same goals and dreams, and he was very new agey and open-minded like she was becoming. And so they really hit it off. But James was living with the mother of his child and had another child on the way. And of course Jennifer was married, so it's kind of odd, kind of awkward, But they did decide to start a massage therapy business together, and they supposedly they didn't supposedly, it's out there, they became romantically involved, so there was an extramarital affair on Jennifer's part. Now, that's obviously not the best idea, admittedly, especially if there's already anger and tension boiling up in your relationship. But after the affair began, the violence between Jennifer and Rob escalated quite a lot. Alyssa, who is Jennifer's sister, reported that Jennifer had called her one night, freaking out, saying that Rob had come home drunk and forced himself on her sexually. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, well, you're married, so you can do whatever. I call bullshit on that. I've been married before, and you know what? I'm still allowed to say no. Still allowed to say no. But with that incident, Jennifer apparently never reported him to the police, so nothing really came of it. Eventually, Rob left Jennifer and moved back to Bonham, while Jennifer moved James into their house and started up an official relationship with him. But the relationship with James was not to last very long, with the business failing, Jennifer having to claim bankruptcy or file bankruptcy. Her infatuation with James seemed to kind of diminish really quickly. And the family reported that James really wanted to marry Jennifer, but Jennifer did not reciprocate that. She did not want to get married to James. In fact, Jennifer's cousin, Susan Bowen, reported that Jennifer had told her that she had wanted to get Rob back. I mean, I know, ladies, we've all been there where it's like, maybe I shouldn't have left so-and-so, but you never go back, you know? But apparently Rob had a new girlfriend at the time, but that didn't stop Jennifer from meeting up with him, talking to him, and apparently it didn't stop either one of them from sleeping together every now and then. So, there's that. Now, Rob is the one that admitted that him and Jennifer had started a sexual relationship back, even though he had a girlfriend. It could potentially be a lie, but it seems like a lot of the family and friends were backing it up, like, yeah, it was pretty obvious, like, and maybe she stated things to them too, confirming that yes, they had started sleeping together again. A friend of Jennifer's by the name of Jill Wagner reports that Jennifer confided in her that she was pregnant before the murder and that she was pretty sure it was Rob's. Rob also stated that Jennifer had met up with him one evening and told him about the pregnancy, but he hadn't believed it at the time and still doesn't believe that she was pregnant. This rumor would continue on once the medical examiner released the fact that when they were doing the autopsy, they found that Jennifer's uterus had been removed. Like, it was gone. There was not a trace of it. So then that started the gossip rumors going with all sorts of new horrific details that some were factual, some were not. They were wondering if maybe she had been pregnant and the father of the baby is the one who killed her and therefore removed the uterus to avoid having any kind of link with her biologically. Don't know. But the fact of the matter is that it's really gruesome, but at the same time there was no other scientific evidence that she was pregnant. And it turns out that there were other organs missing from her body as well. So basically, when the forensic experts came in and did the autopsy, yes, they found that the uterus was gone, but they found several other organs in pieces and missing because, okay, and this is going to be really, really gruesome, but she had been floating in the river for 6 days. So fish and turtles had kind of picked her apart a little bit. But they did say that there had been some kind of major wound or opening on her abdomen, possibly like one vertical giant cut or something that had allowed the fish and turtles to kind of get inside of her. And this is so disturbing to be talking about, and I'm really sorry if I'm like making any of you like gag or freak out a little bit, but it is important to go over these details when talking about a murder investigation, because as someone who's interested in forensic psychology and someone who wants to be a forensic psychologist, every little detail counts. The way someone was murdered, every little detail, how their body was dumped, how their body was found, was anything missing, was anything overkilled, you know? So it all matters. So I really do apologize if this is like a little bit too much for you guys. I'm really not trying to be disrespectful here at all. Obviously, this is a horrible, horrifying crime. At the time of the murder, both Rob Holman and James Hamilton denied seeing her that night of May 12th, 2002. James had an alibi saying he was at a McDonald's restaurant about an hour outside of town with a friend, and the alibi did check out at the time, although later investigators would say that the alibi was too quickly accepted and that there was not a proper investigation to kind of discover the truth, because alibis can often lie to cover for someone. So there's that. Rob Holman, however, became nervous when questioned because he was supposedly alone the night Jennifer was missing. But later on, his story would change to say he had seen Jennifer's Jeep while he was driving around. He claimed to have been driving out on country roads for about 4 to 5 hours, which I find odd, but okay, due to friends he had gone to visit not being home at the time. But even then, the story changes again later, where Rob states that Jennifer had reached out to him asking to meet with him that very night of May 12th. But he had denied her the request to meet due to having plans with his girlfriend. But that brings up the question, okay, so where was your girlfriend between, these 4 or 5 hours that you were just aimlessly driving around? Where was your girlfriend? But anyway, the investigators believe they know about where she was murdered due to the body having blue mud covering the front of her when discovered, and the fishermen who had found her also indicated that there were only 2 places along the Red River bank, that had that same blue mud for several miles. There was also a caretaker's cottage nearby, the very same spot where they had found the body, that they believe may have been where she was murdered. Now, is it a coincidence that the very same night she went missing, this cottage burst into flames and was set on fire? Was this an indication that Jennifer Harris had been murdered in the cottage and that the cottage had been set aflame to hide any evidence left behind? Some think so, while other investigators like Joe Mora, and I might be pronouncing your name wrong, I'm so sorry if I am, he doesn't think it necessarily connects at all to the murder, because why would someone start a fire right where they just dumped a body? Because that brings too much attention. About 1.5 years after the investigation began, a woman saw the first television report on the case and was shocked to realize she recognized Jennifer Harris. Deborah Lambert had been driving over the Red River Bridge with her mother around 5 p.m. on May 12, 2002. And she claims to have seen Jennifer on the riverbank surrounded by 3 men. Deborah stated that she had known Jennifer was terrified by her eyes and had even worried that the girl would be killed or raped, but she was too afraid to call the police at the time. We'll hit on that in a minute. She claims that one of the men was wearing shorts and the other 2 were wearing jeans, and when given pictures of the suspects, she pinpointed Rob Holman as definitely being one of the men. But because her time frame didn't match up with the friend's claim that Jennifer had left her residence at 8 p.m., the report wasn't taken as seriously as it should have been, and now Deborah Lambert has passed away. So it is quite possible that the only eyewitness to have seen the last moments of Jennifer Harris's life is now also dead. Jennifer's family has received the help of several private investigators to help solve this case, and the newly elected sheriff in Bonham, Texas, in Fannin County, is also taking a closer look into it as well. But due to the severely weak investigation and mishandling of evidence and information, there really isn't much for them to go off of. The family and several of the PIs seem to have a firm belief that the main killer responsible is Rob Holman himself. And Daryl Parker, the family's PI, states that he may have missed an opportunity to get Holman's confession. According to Parker, he had visited Holman with several photos of Jennifer to discuss the investigation, and there was a moment when Holman was so fixated on a photo of Jennifer swimming in muddy water, just like how the body was found, that Parker was sure that he had just shaken Holman up. And later that same day, Robert Holman contacted Parker to meet up for a discussion about it, but Parker put it off until the very next day so that the sheriffs could be present, and by that time, Holman had lawyered up. However, I wonder if maybe Holman was so desperate to talk to Parker about it again later that day because he was trying to get Parker alone. Sometimes when people who have killed get really shaken up emotionally or whatever, they start to think desperate things and they start to behave very desperately, like, oh, well, this guy seems to be on to me, so let me, just kill him and get him out of the way. But who knows? Who knows what would have happened if they had met up by themselves? I don't know. Joe Mora has a different theory, though. He claims that James Hamilton was let off a little bit too easily. And the fact that Hamilton actually reached out to Jennifer's father about 2 months or so after Jennifer's brutal murder, to ask about Jennifer's life insurance policy is a little bit suspect. Hamilton took a polygraph test and passed, and Holman said he would take a polygraph test, but for some reason was allowed to go home without taking one. Now, the overseeing district attorney at the time of Jennifer's murder was actually pulled into this giant rumor scam that he had been arrested regarding the murder and that he was the murderer of Jennifer Harris. But none of those allegations were ever proven true. He was never arrested, but it actually ended up costing him his next election. So he, did not continue his career. Now, there are different reports about the personal effects that had been brought in with Jennifer Harris's body, including a laptop and some clothing. Now, there are differing reports, though, because the main report from the 48 Hours documentary that they did states that the evidence was lost, that it was misplaced, it was just gone. It was just gone. Like, first of all, how is that? I don't know. And the other report that I read from a local news reporter in that area stated that they had found the evidence, the personal effects, and had sent them off to a forensic lab, but we've never heard anything back about that. So it's like, well, was it? Were they found? Were they sent off? Was anything discovered about that? We don't know. Now, there is a ton of misinformation and poor investigating techniques surrounding this case. And I'm not trying to lay blame on the sheriffs themselves, because, any kind of murder investigation, especially in a small town, is not going to get investigated as well as if it were in a big town where there's a whole homicide division and yada yada yada. But there were definitely some major issues with the lack of investigating techniques in this case. So I have a lot of different questions and a lot of different theories. First of all, even in a small town, the sheriff's department most likely suspected Rob Holman quite a bit. And even though there's no physical evidence, the fact that his story changed so many times, at first he never saw her, then he did see her, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, she actually asked to meet me, but I said no. But then all of a sudden I was supposed to have, time with my girlfriend, but then I was driving around for 4 to 5 hours by myself. Nothing adds up with this guy's statements, in my opinion. So that simple fact should have forced him to take a polygraph test. Now, I know that polygraph tests can't always be admissible in court, but at the same time, I think it would have led to a better investigation, or at least shaken him up enough to possibly even get a confession if he is the murderer. But we'll never know now. So a few of the questions I had was, first off, why did you let Rob Holman leave without taking a polygraph test? Why is everyone seemingly all right with his changing his stories? Was any evidence found in her Jeep? Did anyone do fingerprints or anything like that in the Jeep? What happened to those personal effects? Did they actually go missing or not? Did Jennifer Harris actually have a life insurance policy taken out on her? By who and when is a good question as well. And this is going to sound really sketchy, and I'm not trying to sound like a complete paranoid psychopath, but if Deborah Lambert's claims were right and there had been 3 men involved in her murder, could one of them have possibly been a police officer? That would explain the lack of investigation, the missing evidence. It would explain a lot if one of those men had actually been involved somehow in the sheriff's department. Just an idea. Who are the 3 men, of course, is a huge question. Why would she be meeting with 3 men? Did she go there to meet Rob? Did he bring 2 people as backup so that he could finally get rid of her? Was she pregnant and that's why he was trying to get rid of her? We just don't know. All of these questions are frozen in time, and the case itself has been cold now for about 17 years. Other investigators and even the Texas Rangers have come in and out of this case looking to find new evidence and find justice for Jennifer Harris. But so far, nothing has been brought to light. The family is looking to start up a new docuseries called Justice for Jennifer to help try to get new leads on the case, or at least bring more awareness to it. And I'm not sure if that docuseries has actually started or already happened. I didn't find an actual air date for it, so I'm not sure if it's actually started yet. And if Deborah Lambert was right, that means there are 3 men out there walking free, we assume, who know exactly what happened to Jennifer Harris that night and who most likely took part in her death. So with all of that said and done, and I know that a lot of us YouTubers who do true crime come at it kind of sounding cold and heartless and we don't actually care about the victim, but a lot of that is because we have to separate ourselves emotionally. when I first read over this case, because I've read over this case now about 30 times, which isn't even half as much as an actual investigator does. So when I first read over this case, it broke my heart because any kind of unsolved crime, especially a murder, is maddening for the family. Like, that's completely maddening. Trying to figure out, okay, who took my loved one from me? Who would do something like this? And then not ever having justice served. Can you imagine the pain? Like, I lost it. I've already lost my shit and shed some tears today for Jennifer Harris. So I know that a lot of true crime YouTubers out there get a bad rep because they're very cold and calculated with telling the facts and stuff. And I know that we sometimes go over some really gruesome, fucked up shit. But it's called true crime for a reason. It's crime, it's horrible, it's evil in the first degree. So with that being said, I just want to say that my prayers are for the Harris family, for the sister Alyssa, for her father Jerry, for everyone who is involved and who's been hurt by this. I have nothing but prayers and good thoughts for you and for her friends as well, and for the whole town of Bonham, Texas, because something like this happening in your town, it never really goes away. And of course, if you're watching this by some miracle and you know anything about this case at all, please reach out to the Fannin County Sheriff's Department. I will actually put their phone number up here just in case you do have any leads or any ideas on what may have happened to Jennifer Harris all the way back in 2002. Their phone number is 903-583-2143. So if by some miracle someone out there is watching this and has some information about the case, I really encourage you to reach out to the Sheriff's Department and let them know, because to have a case go cold for this long and to not really have any hope of solving it, it's really horrible for the family to have to go through that. So even though we had kind of a disturbing topic today, I do want to continue on with true crime. Of course, I want to kind of connect it back to my home state of Texas, of course, and also to the occult more often. Now, I know this case we went over today didn't really have much to do with the occult or with the paranormal, but I am going to try and connect the two so that those of you who love the paranormal don't get bored, and those of you who love true crime don't get bored, and we'll just have a thing. Also, I have not gotten rid of my demonology series. I have been researching so much for my next demonology video, so you guys just be patient with me. It's gonna be awesome. There's so much information I have to try and force into my brain about that. So in the meantime, I hope you guys are good with the random ass videos. I love you all. I hope you all are having a great day, a great month, year, life, all of that. And I hope you're staying safe out there. I love you so much. Peace.